Warning, this video contains commentary on camping techniques and choices made by a motorcycle camper from a motorcycle camper's perspective. This is not meant to disparage or attack the character of Amanda, as we all enjoy her adventures. This video is designed as a discussion of technique, not character or personality. If you are unable to distinguish between criticism of ideas and criticism of personality, we advise you to skip this video.
So I have been watching Amanda for years. I really dig her stuff. I've been watching her since she was riding around on Lazarus. I don't know, that thing's got to be 40 years old. 40-year-old Japanese cruiser motorcycle. Really enjoyed her stuff, but I've noticed lately that she's spending a lot of time in campgrounds and at the same time complaining about it. And that's what I wanted to talk about today. I don't understand it. I don't understand how somebody can camp in a campground knowing exactly what they're getting into. The last 3 episodes that I watched, she was camping in campgrounds and had a pretty nasty experience at all of them except one. And it just brought me to wonder why, if she knows how bad campgrounds are, why does she camp there? I mean, she also stays in hotels, but she has the skills to camp outside of campgrounds. She has the motorcycle. She's got good knobby tires. She's just recently had a class on off-road motorcycle skills. So she has what she needs, and I'm just wondering why she is camping in campgrounds. The paid variety, and more specifically, the awful paid variety, that's really what I want to talk about today. The question I have in my mind is, why does she continue to torture herself and her brother Gary at those terrible campgrounds?
By paid generators. I thought that I had prepared by having 8 backup campsites along this canyon outside of Logan, and unfortunately a ton were closed to flooding and others were butted right up against the high water level, and we did not feel comfortable sleeping there. We were even foiled by one of my higher elevation options because the snow level stopped us before we even made it to the campground. As a result of all of these things, Gary and I decided to ride to Garden City and stay at the Bear Lake KOA. It wasn't perfect, but it was a place to Bear Lake. You were quiet and you did the job, but you're still not my favorite. That's a $60 patch of grass there.
And an open canal.
And an open canal.
Apparently it's very dangerous.
It's a very dangerous canal. No showers, no
Remarkable.
Trash.
That is remarkable.
And our camp spot was level. There was, it's better than that $60 piece of dirt in Texas.
Right.
That's crazy.
Grass.
There was grass. Yep, we're gonna leave now. And we went through a beautiful canyon.
It was gorgeous.
Yeah, I just don't get it.
And all of the campsites that I had planned for backup, which was there was 8 campgrounds along that canyon, and half of them were flooded and closed. So we kind of ended up spending a lot of money at a KOA in Bear Lake.
Might as well really have stayed in a random campground.
Yeah. Or with the highway noise and the river noise, or $60 KOA, essentially next to somebody's house.
Yeah, no, there was literally a house up on the hill.
Yeah.
Most of the episodes that I have watched of hers, she's traveling out west. She has loads of opportunities for free camping, BLM, National Forest, all kinds of stuff out there. I know she can camp outside of campgrounds because I've seen her do it many times. So why does she stay in campgrounds? Is it the bathrooms? Is it the convenience of restrooms and maybe flushing toilets or even vault toilets? She doesn't have to expose her female fanny in the wilderness. Is it running water? Does she like having that convenience of running clean water? Is it showers? It could be all of these things. Or perhaps it's the picnic tables. I know she cooks a lot. And Tables are very convenient, solid picnic tables, but I think they even repaired one of their picnic tables because these campgrounds, a lot of them are not very well maintained. I mean, what do they do with all that money? If they're not maintaining their equipment and keeping everything clean, what are they doing with all that money? I mean, she travels largely out west. She has a very capable adventure bike with knobby tires, and so does her brother. So it makes me wonder why she keeps going back to these campgrounds. Is it the convenience of not having to plan? When I am traveling, the only thing I typically look at is terrain. Is it public or private property? Do I have access to public property? Is there national forest? Is there a park possibly that I could stealth camp in? Is there some wilderness area, whether it's public or private? I do a lot of stealth camping, but mostly what I do is I look at terrain. I stay clear of the big cities, but when I'm out in the wilderness, if I'm out in between towns, there's usually plenty of places to camp. They may not be super convenient. I may not be able to start a campfire. I may not be able to cook easily, but that's usually not that high of a priority when I'm traveling. If I'm out west, I mean, there's loads of places on the side of the road that you could stop at. Sometimes you have to take a dirt road and get up into the mountains, or, off of the main highways, or off of the main county roads. You have to get off a little bit. And it helps to have a more capable bike. It helps to have knobby tires, good suspension, and maybe not so much of a heavy load. But when I'm traveling, I'm looking for dirt roads. I'm looking for ridges and rivers and mountaintops and places that are epic and away from people. Yeah, I don't like campgrounds. I don't like screaming kids, barking dogs, generators, loud music. In general, I don't like camping next to rednecks, and that's why I've stayed clear of campgrounds for many years. Not only that, you never know what you're going to get, especially traveling around holidays and long weekends. You're just going to have to assume that the campgrounds are booked solid. And a lot of times the campgrounds are closed due to lack of maintenance or lack of funds or lack of use or some kind of a decay that the agency responsible for running the campgrounds are not willing to put in the effort, time, and money to maintain them, so they just lock the gates. And you never know until you get there, because a lot of these campgrounds are just out in the middle of nowhere. There's no website for a campground that's got 5 or 10 spots. They're not there, or they're at least not well maintained, and you never know until you get there. So that's always a problem, at least for me. Yeah, and while I'm out looking for these epic campsites out west especially, I have found in the past that almost always I can find a much better campsite than I can ever find at a campground, an official campground, because there's so few. I mean, there's some nice ones out there. There's some really nice ones out there, but I would say it's probably less than 10% of the campgrounds out there are just fantastic. Either fantastic views or a beautiful, well-maintained campground, or, a nice running river or creek or overlook. I mean, most of them just don't exist. And when they do exist, they're packed. If it's a really epic campground, typically it's packed. You're not going to be able to get in there. First come, first serve. A lot of states are even reserving campgrounds now. So you got to have a pass for state campgrounds. I know at least in Oregon, you got to have a pass. I think Washington too. You got to have like an annual pass to be able to camp there. Very rare that I find a campground that has the stunning and epic views that I can find in the National Forest and BLM. I don't have to put up with all the other crap that comes with these campgrounds. One of the biggest issues I have with campgrounds is how much they cost. I mean, a lot of these places charge you $25 to $75 a night just for the pleasure of sleeping on the ground. I have always found that absurd. And what am I getting for my money? Oh, this little dirty spot over here that I can throw a tent. Or maybe there's some trees that are close enough together I can hang my hammock. But I get this dirty spot, and maybe if I'm lucky, a vault toilet for how much? I've always thought that was weird, that for $25, $30, $40, $50 more, I could go sleep in a hotel and have a shower and a nice soft bed and air conditioning and a bug-free environment. They're not always out there, but a lot of times if you're away from the big cities, you can find $100, $120, $150 a night hotel. Hell, you can get a Airbnb for $60, $70 a night. Yeah, when it comes down to it, I just don't understand. I don't understand why she doesn't camp out in the wilderness. I think it may just be a lack of experience. She's depended on campgrounds and hotels so long that she's uncomfortable or uneasy. I don't know. Hopefully she'll come in here and respond and answer some of my questions, or the major question, which is, why campgrounds? We all know, or at least the people that have stayed in campgrounds, how awful so many of them are. And of course, there's always exceptions. There are exceptional campgrounds. I've stayed in a few. I stayed in one last year. Just a buddy was joining us on the Trans-America Trail, and he was riding around with his bike in a camper, and he was sleeping in his camper. So he just said, yeah, let's do a campground. I was like, yeah, okay, I can meet you in a campground. And it turned out it was awful. The campground was spectacular. It was the people that were awful. Yeah, it was a great night. It was just a beautiful place. There was deer walking right past the camp, 20, 30 yards away. It was fantastic. And then the next morning, some jackhammer got up and started using his hammer drill. He was lowering his trailer onto his vehicle at 5:30 in the morning. It sounded like some jackhammer was operating. So 5:30 in the morning, and I got up and started talking with Richard, my riding partner, and he was cussing about the guy, and I started screaming at the guy. He was still loading up, and I'm like, dude, what's up with the fucking jackhammer? 5:30 in the morning. I mean, it's just, people don't give a shit. They just don't give a shit. And the further I am away from all those assholes, the better I feel about the world. It's frustrating, and I don't understand, and I wish Amanda would either explain it to me or just tell me something like, I'm working on it. She even put out some videos recently on not only how to find dispersed camping, but the rules. She interviewed a park ranger, which I thought was brilliant. It's like, here's the things you need to think about. Here's the rules you need to keep in mind. So now, not only is she teaching it, she should have all the skills that she needs, all the information, all the skills. I would like to see her camping at a campground less than one time a year. Should be a big goal of hers, is like, let's expand your range a little bit. You've got the bike, you've got the skills to ride the bike. Go 3 miles down a dirt road and find you a nice camp spot, even if it's not a designated dispersed camping. I think that may be her big issue, is she's uncomfortable with those spots. And I've been doing it long enough that I'm very comfortable with it, especially out west. It's very easy out there. You come back east of the Rockies, there's so much private property here. There's not a whole lot of government land. You have to be more creative. You have to get a little bit more skilled with, if you're in the middle of nowhere, you have to find spots that are not dispersed camping. They may be in the forest, but there's not really any great spots. So sometimes you have to go a little bit further off the road. Sometimes you have to stealth camp. And I don't know that I could ever get Amanda to stealth camp, but it opens up lots of opportunities, especially when you're traveling. Yeah, I hope to see less campground camping in the future, for a number of reasons. She's showing other people how to do this. And I think the worst thing that you can do to get people out there to have an epic trip, I think the worst thing that you can do to new motorcycle campers is to show them that you need to depend on hotels and campgrounds. I just think that's a terrible idea. And I'm okay with her staying in hotels a lot more than I am campgrounds, because, odds are you're not going to be really disappointed with a hotel. But there's a really good chance you're going to be disappointed with a damn campground. So I would like to see her doing a little bit more remote camping, a little bit more dispersed camping, and I would love to see her do some stealth camping. So we'll see what happens. Well, that's all I got for you today. Just a little bit of commentary and, a little bit of, the big ideas. The big idea is, if you have the skills to camp outside of a campground, all your opportunities just open up. You have lots more opportunities if you just build those skills. Step outside of your comfort zone. Just do it a couple of times. The more you do it, the more comfortable you get with it, and the more confidence you have once you've done it a few times. So good luck out there camping in the wilderness. I hope to see you out there soon. You will not see me in a campground unless you're paying for it.